Welcome back, YouTube. Today I'm going to walk you through some of my biggest tips when it comes to fat loss. No, these aren't going to be your classic tips of be in a calorie deficit, eat protein. No, they're the basics. These are going to be more tips in terms of things that you could potentially be doing to try and make fat loss maybe a little bit easier or help you get the best results. If you do enjoy the video, please drop a like. If you have any questions, throw them down below. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe. Let's go. So like I said, these tips aren't going to be the basics, right? I've done the basics in lots of other videos, so if you want to know the basics, putting yourself in a calorie deficit, eating protein, weight training, go check out those videos. This is going to be more tips to essentially try and make the process of dropping body fat a little bit easier and to maybe throw in some tips that are going to help you get the best results you can. So tip number one, now this is kind of the basic, so yes, I maybe just have contradicted myself. But this basic goes missed a lot, goes undervalued a lot, and as well as just being a basic, it's a great tip because it factors into lots of different areas when it comes to fat loss. And that tip is sleep. Sleep is so important when it comes to your fat loss, okay? Not only because it has been shown that people who are sleep deprived, so let's say don't get very good quality sleep, let's say under 6 hours as a rough rule of thumb, it has shown that people, when they're getting less sleep, have a better chance of actually losing weight from muscle. Whereas those people that are getting better quality sleep, better quantity sleep, have a much better chance of actually retaining that muscle and then dropping body fat. So even away from that, which is a huge factor within itself, right? Even away from that, sleep is going to play such a role in other factors within your fat loss goal. Number one, it's going to play an impact in your training performance for two reasons. One, if you're not well rested, your energy is going to be low, therefore your training performance is going to be poor. Two, sleep plays a huge role in recovery. Okay, so if you have a great session, but you can't recover from that session, then the next session that comes along is not going to be great. Okay, so for consistency of good performance, sleep's going to be huge. Sleep's also going to play a part in food consumption. Okay, it has been shown that people who don't get as good quality sleep actually tend to typically eat more calories as a result. Okay, so if we're looking at controlling calories, which we know is going to be huge for fat loss, sleep is going to be important. And look, put it simply, we all know what it's like when we don't get good sleep. We wake up feeling like shit. It's a lot harder to make good decisions. Okay, if you think fat loss is hard enough already, try doing that when your sleep shit and you feel horrible. It ain't gonna last very long. So get good sleep. Getting good quality sleep on a consistent basis will make your goal so much easier. Number two, stop focusing on weight. Fat loss is more than weight. Okay? Fat loss is the retention of muscle mass while you're dropping body fat. Weight loss is just a loss of weight in general. Okay, that weight can come from anywhere. It can come from water. It can come from fat mass. It can come from muscle mass. Okay, but fat loss is the retention of muscle mass, dropping a loss of body fat. Okay, now weight can be a useful tool. Yes, obviously, if we're dropping body fat, we want to see weight on average over time likely coming down. However, there's also a lot of other indicators that progress is being made when weight might not show it. Okay, I can't tell you the amount of times that I've seen examples of weight holding, weight even going up, but progress still being made. And if you're just looking at weight and you're not seeing these other progress markers, what's the first thing that you're going to do? You're going to think progress isn't being made, you're going to get frustrated, and you're likely going to throw in the towel. So start taking pictures. Start noticing how clothes are fitting. Okay? Even away from that, start focusing on stuff like training performance. Are you getting fitter? Are you getting stronger? Are things in the gym progressing in the right direction? Start looking at energy. Are you feeling better? Is your mood better? There's lots of different factors we can focus on that are going to indicate that we're making progress away from weight. Now again, weight can be a useful tool. So I wouldn't say don't use weight. I would personally use it alongside the other factors. I'm just saying don't focus solely on weight. And then my last and final tip. consistency, but in the details. What do I mean by this? Obviously, consistency is key. We've heard consistency is key all the time. If you're not consistent, you're not going to get consistent progress. Okay? You're not getting consistent progress, you're not going to get to your end goal. Fat loss takes time. We have to be consistent. But consistency in the details, I mean, obviously, again, if we're talking about general consistency, people are like, yes, I need to make sure I'm consistently in a deficit. I need to make sure I'm consistently, making good food choices and all that. But if we focus on being consistent in the details, and what I mean by details is making sure stuff like food portions are consistent from meal to meal, making sure step counts are consistent from day to day, making sure number of training sessions are consistent from week to week, making sure our sleep routine, so the sleep times we're getting, are consistent day to day. Focus on those consistent details will make the consistency in general 10 times easier. Because when people focus on just consistency in general, when things are very vague, the issue we then have is, okay, I'm making good food choices and I have made good food choices for the last 5 weeks. But good food choices could still mean general calorie intake is very varied. It could mean protein intake is still very varied. Okay, but when we concentrate on being consistent in the details, so portion sizes from meal to meal, all of a sudden, now our food intake and our protein intake is actually much more consistent. Like with exercise, being consistent in a general term, being vague with that in terms of exercise could mean, yep, I've trained at least 3 to 5 times this week. And that's fantastic. But again, because it's so varied, what that can often lead to is 1 week seeing results, 1 week not seeing results, 1 week seeing more results than the last week. And for a lot of people, that can just lead to frustration and confusion. Whereas if we make sure we're consistent in the details, so I made sure I hit X amount of steps every day this week, I made sure I hit X amount of sessions from week to week, and we were consistent in the details and we had more targets and a plan, all of a sudden the results you're then getting and the progress you're making is a lot more consistent. And if you need to make adjustments, it's a lot easier because you're very clear on what you've been doing. So consistency in the details allows you to just be more detailed in general, have more of a plan, have more targets, and be less vague. So there you have it. 3 big tips away from the basics. Okay. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, please do drop a like. If you have any questions throughout this video, throw them down. I'll get back to you. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe so you can keep up to date with these videos. Take care, and I'll catch you on the next one.